Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this wonderful chat. And I'm appreciative of all of you all who have come on to just help other people in their endeavors to do what they're going to do and what God has planned for them to do. We have special guests on tonight, and this is Warren and Mixona James. And they are, I'll just tell you, I'll set it up real quick how I met Mr. James. I was supposed to have an appointment with Carlton Ashby last week in Virginia, and I showed up and he wasn't there. And so I waited and waited, and then I left, and then I was about to go out of the parking lot of the church, and I saw Mr. James drive up. So I went and asked him, where Mr. Carlton is, and we just had this wonderful conversation. He is truly a man of God, a soldier to the core. I mean, we should be really proud to have him as our representative, because he is absolutely a wonderful man of God. So I'm so thankful and so honored to have met you, Mr. James. This is his wife, and I asked, and this is the beautiful part, because we're going back to a little bit of the Ice Cream Sunday marriage, and I asked him about the marriage, because I told him about this platform that we have, and he spoke so highly of his wife. And I love that every time I can get someone on who's a couple and they speak well of each other, and you could tell that he absolutely loves you, Miss Mixona, okay? He absolutely adores you. So I just wanted him to come on, because sometimes we need that. We need that encouraging word. We need that, those who are probably looking for love, or who have been disappointed by love, that you all can share some things that can say, okay, you know what? It's not that bad. Maybe I'll jump back in it again, or however God has it for us to, to have the relationships we should have, even with our friends and family. So I'm going to give you the floor. I would like to, for you to tell your story, but let me do this first. Let's all introduce each other. Can everybody take their mute buttons off so we can introduce each other? So Tony, we'll start with you because you know him.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tony Owens, Hampton, Virginia. It's been great on the Zoom with everybody here.
Okay, Sylvia, you have your mute on, so we're gonna go to Steve.
Unmute. Is it off?
It's off. Okay, can you introduce yourself to the James?
Hello, I'm Sylvia, and I'm from Smithfield,
Okay.
Virginia, over here across the bridge from Newport Newsway,
Okay.
in the ham capital.
All right, man. I'm talking.
Steve.
I'm Steve Quashipi. I'm here in Rocky Mount. I've been on Zoom for a good while, and I do what my part to help out.
Okay. Z.
My name is Zelda, and I'm from DC, but I've been living down here for about 11 years in Rocky Mount, North Carolina.
Okay. Thank you. Laquita.
Yes, my name is Laquita, by way of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, but I live here in Hampton, Virginia. Been online here for a few weeks now.
Okay. Lisa.
Hi, my name is Lisa Bailey, and I am from Newport News, Virginia.
Okay. And Cheryl.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Durham, and I'm from Newport News, Virginia.
Okay. And my name is Lynette. So let's get started with you guys. Can you just tell me a little bit of background and just tell me your story to encourage other people?
All right, first thing, good evening, everyone. I can't start nothing off without, I tell people I'm not religious, I'm real. And it's a difference in that. And I say that because I don't believe in titles. It's got position versus purpose. And I truly think God had a purpose for me that I didn't see in life. God looks after babies and fools, so I got double coverage. Let me tell you that up front. So I say that to say this. My mom told me years back, 1979, 80, you need to keep this young lady because this is the only thing that's going to keep you out of trouble besides God. And I here 2022, I tell you today, she was 100% right. So I can't start anything about giving honor to God, which I'm supposed to do first is the scripture and word. And then getting honor to this beautiful young lady beside me has put up with me over 42 years, been married to her 37 years since high school. Can we have a moment of silence of all the moments I drove her crazy? Let's stop right there, okay? All right. But just real talk. We met in high school and
You met me where?
I met her at my girlfriend's house.
We gonna be all the way live.
At your girlfriend's house, okay. This
That
is
was my
interesting.
neighbor.
Okay.
That was my neighbor.
I'm not good at lying, so let's go. And I love this story because everybody said, you're crazy. I know, but also let's get this out the way. I was visiting my girlfriend who her sister was my wife's best friend. And she came in the door. Fast forward, long story short, I turned to my girlfriend, who I won't mention her name. And I said, well, who was that? And she said, that's Mickey. And that's what they called her back in the day. I said, oh my God. I said, I got to meet her. She goes, you're crazy. I know. I walked out the room. She was standing there with the young lady, which was her friend. And I immediately looked at her and she looked at me like I'd lost my ever-loving mind because she could see this man's going to say something crazy. Well, a young kid at the time. And I asked her what her name was, and she told me her name was Mickey with an attitude. And I told her, great, nice to meet you, Mickey, because I'm about to make you mine. Watch me, I'm gonna marry you one day. And I think that's when the war started. And I'm gonna tell you, to fast forward from there to now, I wouldn't change a thing in the world because they call it stalking now. I call it just trying to pursue what I wanted in life. Name it and claim it. So, and that's what I did. And she ran from me multiple times, and I'll let her tell her section of that. I don't even want to put words in her mouth.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for having us with you all this evening. And yes, today they call it stalking. Back then, I guess you might call it a hard courtship. But I thank God that it's true that when God says that he has created someone for each of one of us, that he has. And when people say or try to discourage us, any of us, that we cannot be blessed with love at a young age, in our mid-age, later in our later years, never believe that. Always believe that your rib, your soulmate is out there. And never let anyone stop you, as it did with him, for pursuing your mate when God says to you, that is the one. I was brought up in a family of 6, 7 girls and 2, 3 boys. And mom and dad they ran a strict house. When my parents met Warren, they saw this young thug, you might as well say. At the age of 16, I was 15, full facial hair, driving his own car. And, they judge the book by the cover. And I'll say in some aspects, rightfully so, because it has not been a cakewalk. But anything worth having is worth fighting for. And so when he would want to go out and I didn't want to go out with him because he was just too out there, he would do things like put me in the trunk of his car as my sisters stood around and laughed. And he would drive off with me and I'm like, this boy is kidnapping me and y'all think it's funny, but God is good because through it all, we're still here. And I'm going to just kind of leave that right there. I'm thankful the girlfriend that he had, she constantly tried to come back in the picture, even once we were married. But God
Really?
blocked all of that and stopped all of that madness from happening.
Okay,
But-
so excuse me, can you elaborate on that? Because we are very transparent here, and sometimes that happens in relationships. So how did you handle that?
It was crazy because it went from high school to, I mean, I thank God for it because she stayed on my side. But the crazy thing about it, I was her neighbor too. But then when I went in the Marine Corps, you know, we're thinking everything was cool, everything is fine, you know, hey, let's live our life. We're on the West Coast, we're living life, we're a young couple. Then all of a sudden, boom, here comes this landslide. It's like everything's going great, here you go again. And the one thing we had to do is, you know, one thing I thank God, she believed in me and stayed by me. And she made a statement. She says, I don't care what the outcome is because it was a child involved. It was be accusing me of having a child. And I was willing to take care of the child if it was mine. I'm not going to run from responsibility. But when this woman said, if it is your child, no, we're going to take care of it. We're going to raise it with our girls. You know, so when we went through that battle, that war out there on the military base, out there with them. And of course, everything got annulled. They got, what do they call it?
Well, we got this, well, one of the biggest major complications was the fact that she had a child that she was saying was Warren's child. And we found ourselves in and out of court to fight this. And she would show up for court, but she wouldn't show up for the paternity test. That gave me my first indication that she was just trying to run game, you know, as the young folks would say. And so I really had to just trust in my husband. I had to trust in my mate. I had to accept whatever the consequences were. I would have to accept them to be what they were. We also knew that it would have been impossible because she had joined the military and she had been gone and came back pregnant. So I told him, I said, you good, my brother, but you're not that good. But when you're faced with trials, when you're faced with adversity, when you're faced, if you're in a relationship, whether you're married to the individual, whether you're dating the individual, and you got to remember that everybody has baggage. Everyone has a past. And if you say, this is my mate, this is the one that I am created to be with, this is the one that I'm going to build my life with, you have to decide to accept what comes along with them. Now, if that individual, however, is taking advantage of you, then that's a different story. Because if you have someone in your life and they say, this is my woman, this is my man, but I am walking all over him, I'm out all types of hours and he can't reach me, this day and age, you have so many ways of communicating, then you do need to do your research and you need to truly ask God, is this the one for me? And not just settle. You never want to just settle because settling can lead to disaster. And so if you are truly in a relationship that's meant to be, you're going to be able to find peace. You're going to be able to forgive, and you're going to have a desire in your heart to be faithful and true and open and upfront with your mate, especially if you call yourself a child of the King, if you call yourself a child of God. You never let anyone come into your life that's going to overshadow your God, overshadow our God. You never want to let anyone into your life that's going to make you lose your self-identity. So if they are physically abusive, verbally abusive,
Yep.
you really need to ask God to deliver you from that and take away that desire, because the enemy, he can make us see things that aren't what they are supposed to be, because he knows when you get desperate enough, which you will allow yourself to tolerate and take, just so you can simply say, I have a warm body in the bed next to me when he shows up. I have someone to cook for me because I don't feel like cooking for myself. So it's the small things that you have to really deal with. So in this situation with this young lady, I had to confront her face to face. And I had literally on the street corner, face to face, and asked, just put a demand in. If this is his child, show up, do what we need to do so that we can move on with our life. If it's not, then leave us be so that we can live our life and you go and live your life. And what really made it work in our case is that both partners have to be on the same page.
Right.
So if you are having troubles in your relationship, in your marriage, and it has something to do with another individual, male or female, it could be a drug habit, it could be, they could be a workaholic, but if it's something that's toxic to your relationship, you need to be able to talk about it, figure out what you need to do about it, take it to the Lord in prayer, and then you need to make a decision and a choice together as a couple. You can't decide it one-sided, because when God joins us together, we become a cord, and he's that third cord, and he's the one that holds us together. So he can't make any choices or any decisions if he's not in the process of making those decisions and those choices. So the only way to get over a situation like that is both parties have to be forthcoming, both parties have to be honest, both parties have to tell the truth, don't linger on. And if you get the suspicion that this isn't right, that I'm not being truthful, or I'm not being told the truth, then you have to make the decision to move on and ask God to take that desire out of your heart. Because it's just like you crave a relationship, especially if you've been in one or you're in one and it starts going wrong, and there are affairs or issues that you cannot get around. You will crave just the company and tolerate it with it, just like an alcoholic craves a drink, even though they may be in recovery. They have to constantly stay on their guard. They have to constantly stay in prayer. They have to constantly work at not succumbing to that desire. So in your relationship, if it's something toxic that you can't work out, and God says it's time to let it go, you're going to have to surrender it and allow him to heal you and take that taste out of your mouth and that out of your heart.
Okay, wonderful. All right, any questions before we continue with them? Anybody have any questions? Okay, Mr. James, I remember you told me that you took care of your wife. So that's the part where no matter what, to death do us part. No matter come what may,
Come on.
we're in it together.
And like I told you that day, it's the wedding vows are deep. And, I took them, we looked good that day. I looked like an officer in the gym. I was a Marine Corps Just Blues. I was clean. And I listened to those vows. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of people say them because it's a formality. We believe them, but we tested all of them, said death do us part. She suffers from a rare disease called polymyositis. And I had to research that and do my homework and figure it out in Google and YouTube. Y'all call her Mickey, Mixona. I call her the Queen. This is the Queen. And she knows it. When you see her grin and smile, she knows I'll go to the end. I don't care what it takes, what it means necessary. I say that to say this. I came here, I was finding my wife at the bottom of the stairs, falling out, passing out. Same time, my mom gave birth to me at 45 years old, so I have an elderly mother. Fast forward, polymyositis took over her body where she couldn't walk. We moved into this house where we're at now in 2008.
And let me interject for 1 second. It took a long time for the doctors to figure out what was going on with me. I literally woke up one day and could not function.
Exactly.
But as they were trying to figure out why my muscles were dying, and I was losing my inability to walk, losing my inability to talk, losing my inability to raise my hands, I had losing my inability to roll over in bed, getting up from a chair had become impossible. As they were trying to figure this out, they discovered through testing, looking for one thing, that I had nodule on my thyroid, which turned out to be thyroid cancer. But that wasn't what was causing my inability to not walk. But they had to put that on the back burner because they needed to go in and remove the mass and take the thyroid out. At the same time, my heart started failing me. And I was having problems, chest pains, problem breathing, things of that nature. And come to find out, I was having many heart attacks, and they couldn't figure out why. I went from being totally healthy.
Totally. I mean, walking, exercising, aerobics.
And they say, but that's not what's killing you. That's not what's killing you on the inside. That's not what's destroying you. Then they found out that I had lupus. And all of this is like within a 4 to 6 month window. It was like bam, 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 bam. And I literally stepped into this, as I call it, mother of a storm, that I could not figure out why or how to find my way out of it and why it was happening to me. I tell others, I said, it's like, I don't know how many of you are aware of different storms, but I said, it's like a supercell, that mega storm that hits you from all directions, and you got the tornadoes going on and the wind blowing and the air sucking up and pulling the life out of you. And yet there was still could not figure out what this mystery diagnosis that I was carrying was destroying my body. And I no longer could function to care for myself or to be the wife that I felt that I was supposed to be to my husband. And that's a hard pill to swallow when I am the wife that cooks dinner, fixes my husband's plate and put it before him, get up in the morning, fixes breakfast before he would go out the door for work. Make sure his clothes are washed, make sure the house is clean, because this is how I was raised. And when all of that was stripped away from me, that ability to do that, it took away what I felt was a definition of a woman. But through my husband and his care for me showed me that that wasn't the definition of who a wife and a woman is. That is just things that we do. It's not who we are. It doesn't define who we are as being able to be a wife, as being able to be his best friend, as being able to be his partner, me being his covering and him being my cover.
Yes, so it blew my mind. So I got this, now I got an elderly mother that has cancer, a wife has cancer, now the heart attacks. And it got to the point where I asked God, what was going on? I've been through everything in the Marine Corps. Tony, you know my story, and I say that, I did all peacekeeping operations and confidential operations, all in the 80s. And that's all I could say on that. So, but to see her go down like that and not know why, and we have 2 beautiful daughters. One was just graduated out of college, next one out of high school. And then she just went totally down to where I'm laying in the hospital with her. Now they opening up her chest, saying that she needs 2 stents from the heart attacks, and she has blockages. And they're telling me, Mr. James, this can be worse, it can be fatal. So we leave there to fast forward to where it gets worse. She has another blockage they can't even touch that she still has to this day. At the same time, mind you, I have an elderly mother sitting right here with cancer, who's slowly leaving here because of age and cancer. And things got real crazy to the point where I'm gonna tell you honestly, that's where your faith steps in.
Jesus.
And because I found out who my real friends were.
Mhm. You do. You
Wow.
do.
Let me tell you,
You do.
it's a strong word with me,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm glad it happened
Mm-hmm.
because it showed me who was who.
Mm-hmm.
It showed me who was, because the people I knew that had my back, including family, you'd be surprised. So, you know, I tell things, nothing happens by coincidence. All this happened for a reason. And one, for me to see, for God to show me who was really real in our lives. Not just my life, our lives.
Mhm.
And then I had to come back, okay, God, I'm putting you first. I'm going back to the basics. My mom taught me this. And she kept saying, baby, it's going to be okay. Don't worry about me. You take care of that beautiful wife, my daughter, who she would call. So then it got to the point where I said, you know what? I got this. So I was running to work, wouldn't telling nobody, both of them in chemotherapy. Finally, somebody found out, saying, are you crazy? What is wrong with you? You need help? No, I don't need help. I got this. This is my job. I've been through worse in a desert. And then the ultimate thing happened. I planned to go take both of them out to Mother's Day weekend, 2013. It was that Wednesday. They both were in wheelchairs. She had been in a hover round. My mom was in a wheelchair, got the van. Told my job, I said, look, I'm gonna take the ladies out. I'm gonna take them out and spoil them because it's hard to take them out on Mother's Day weekend. It's just, oh my God, the two ladies in a wheelchair, I know I'm gonna catch it. I'm gonna fight somebody. So, and that's just the way I was, you know. And planned it that morning, woke up and I got a call saying that my mother had a stroke.
Mm.
My brother lost it. Now, I'm the baby of 3. And when I say the baby, my next brother's 6 years older than the next one's 20 years old. My parents are older. My dad would have been 110 this year.
Yeah.
My mom would have been 104. 1912, 1918, they were born. Watch this woman have a stroke. Watch her slowly check out. They said they gave her 48 hours to a week to live. Same time, this woman's trying to help me take care of her during cancer. Now, she has cancer. She's in a hover round, but she's helped taking care of my mom before the stroke. Now my mom has a stroke. And now I got both of them in a hospital. I don't know what to do. Wifey comes out of the hospital for treatments. We go to the hospital where my mom is. My mom slowly starts checking out. They say, hey, she's not gonna make it. That woman lasted from Mother's Day to Father's Day. I'll tell you why that 7-week process happened. Those 7 weeks made me believe in miracles because I would hear people talk about it. And I gotta see it. I can hear what you say. I know your testimony. That sounds good. I've seen thousands of them. I've been to almost every country there is. But to see it happen before my face, as my mom is leaving here, my wife is transitioning. My mom's getting weaker, wife's getting strong. One day I come in, wifey comes into the walker, not the wheelchair. No big deal. Mom's losing. She's leaving out. At 6 weeks, at the end of the 6 weeks, it was in June 18th, I got a call that said she was in a lot of pain, my mom. So I said, okay, give her more pain beds. Former student ended up watching my mom, not coincidental. Tony, you know I am about my students.
Oh, yes.
Called me back and said, Officer James, we don't want to do nothing wrong. Your mom is in real big pain. We need to give her, I said, give her anything she wants to keep her out of pain. I said, I'll be up there shortly. I said, when I go pick up wifey and we're on the way up. You see me, we're on the way to the nursing home. In that little bit of time, she passed. I'm so worried about her, my daughters, and everybody else. It wasn't a concern about me. I got her, she lost. Get her there to the place. What I didn't know is she didn't have a walker. She didn't have to hover around. She had a cane. So you see this progress. Mom's leaving. Wifey's right here. I'm like, okay, not paying it any mind because I'm caught up with everything around. talk to the funeral home, get the body out, nursing home. We go set up for the funeral arrangements. We walk into the funeral. Everything else is a blur. I know I get to the funeral. We're at the house. I get ready to leave. I said, baby, we need to get your hover around and we need to get your walker and put it in the van. She goes, I'm not walking in my mama's funeral in a hover around or a walker. And that woman walked into that funeral and she has yet to get on the walker or the hover around since. And I look at that transition period. And I say that to say this. These vows we carry, let me tell you now, and I know you're saying, oh God, they've had this marriage, they've been together since high school. It's like a fairy tale. No. We're not going to even lie to you. We done had some knocked down drag outs. I am the most difficult person to live with. I'm bougie. I'm high maintenance. I'm just saying. I like to match. I'm cute. Mama said so. We said we're real, right? Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. And she knows it. And I found somebody that can actually check me in a good way. You understand what I'm saying? In a good way. That's truly God. So I say that to say this: if anybody's out here having struggles in a relationship, struggles being a caregiver, struggles being, what category do you want to talk about? I can give you advice and I can tell you how we did it, but the problem is you're going to have a willing participant in it also. And it has to be a team effort. Everybody asks me now, hey, where's your boys? I don't have no boys. Matter of fact, I work with 95% females on my job. And the first thing, like you saw, Ms. Britt, what's the first thing that comes out my mouth? My wife.
Your wife sure did.
It's not, it's natural. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's something, this is my best friend. This is my best friend. And I found out life became so much better. You know, not only are we couples, not only is, I mean, yeah, that's been the grandmother of 6. But it's my best friend. It's somebody I could, not only we can be husband and wife, but I can hang out with. And that was the key thing. See, when I dated, which, well, I can't even call that back in the day. When I was in professional relations, that was a good word, what I used. Professional relations. And she calls it another word, some type of garden tool. And anyway.
Around.
No. And the thing was, you know, when I saw Mix, I said, you know what, this is who I need in my life. Because everybody else was either, they knew I had jobs out behind, I had jobs in high school. I was about making money. Then my dad died, then I got a lot of money. That's the worst thing that happened to somebody 16 or 17 years old. I graduated with 2 cars in high school. Listen to that. You went a high school senior with 2 cars and money. How do you think that went? We cannot discuss that because I don't know what the laws or stipulations or whatever it is right now. But I can tell you this.
Statutory limit.
Statutory limits, what she said. But I know one thing, God gave me a woman right here that stood within everything that we went through, you know, and I thank God for it. So when I saw her sick, it was a no-brainer. My thing was this, I was trying to inspire other males. This is what you need to do. Now I had vultures out here. Even some of her friends, some of my so-called associates and friends.
I got friends.
And we found out they're not her friends. I could come on for fix dinner for you, but I'm not illiterate. I cook. Well, we can clean your house. No, you can't. No, you can't. And one of them literally came outside. I know you lonely. I ain't lonely. I got a house full of girls. You can't get lonely. Let me tell you.
Wow.
I learned how to do hair, okay? Not hair. I learned how to do hair. To where my baby daughter wouldn't allow my wife to touch her hair because her hands got so bad that she could not do their hair. And it was at the point where, no, show me. I need to know how to do this. Especially when she get put in the hospital. Nobody walking out of this house looking crazy like they just came out of a WWF fight. We got to look cute, okay? And we got to match. We got to have barrettes. We got to have purses and stockings, and everything got to be laid just like your mama did it. And then when Jasmine turned around that one day and said, somebody said, your mother did a great job on your hair. And Jasmine said, my daddy does my hair. And that was the most biggest feeling of life. You don't understand what I'm saying? Or to hear your wife say, if it wasn't for my husband, that caregiver, instead of saying, where was he doing all this mess? You know, do all the sickness, do all this. One thing that was hard for me, not hard for me, hard for me to let my job understand and everybody else, I don't miss doctor's appointments.
Wow.
We're going to fill out whatever form we got to do, because I don't do secondhand information. We're a team effort. When we sit down, we're talking to the doctors. It's not if you go to the doctor. No, we're there at every appointment to this day. To this day, I don't miss. I don't treatments every 6 weeks. Not every 6 weeks. About 74 grand, $74,000 for the drug and plus the medication. You don't see it on our face, dude. And look, they're living in the house, got a roof over their head.
God is good.
God is good. Let me tell you why. I almost panicked when she had to stop working. Saw the bills, saw the medical bills, the treatments. And anybody that's in the medical situation, you know what I'm talking about. Healthcare, I hate it. This is the way he set it up.
I'm retired from the health.
And she's retired from the medical field. And you know, that's what helped us out. But we had to solicit a lot of organizations, a lot of people, you know, a lot of groups, grants to help us out, because we're like, hey, this is not going to work with the income to debt ratio. Now here we come with this. But I'm willing to do anything in my power, like I told the hospital, to keep her alive. So what I got to do, tap dance on the roof? You need me to fly that helicopter out there? I'll do anything I custodian, I do dishes, what? And when they saw this crazy Marine ain't gonna give up, no. I'm almost turned out, I almost had to show a moment in the hospital because they sent her in the renal failure one time. And I have a sheet in my phone. There's 6 pages of what she's been through since day one up until now. If she passes out, I hand this to the paramedic, or I text it to them, or I have a hard copy too. Reason why, I can't remember everything. Anybody has medical conditions, I tell you right now, I don't care who it is in your family, get a copy of everything, every doctor, every drug you're on, and give it to somebody that's reliable, because you cannot speak for yourself. And when that caregiver stands there, and I've been there, you can get a blank stare on your face in a crisis moment. It's better to be able to hand a sheet of paper that tells them everything, and they're already Johnny on the spot. That's what saved her life that day.
Wow, that's good information.
Yeah. And, you know, through trials, storms, chaos that comes along, we had to learn to see, as they say, the glass half full instead of half empty. And when I started going through this adventure on a personal basis, because it was something we went through and are still going through collectively and individually. And through that process, in the beginning stages, it was first like, okay, I can handle this, I can do this. But in honesty, halfway through, with every new diagnosis, with every new inability to do something that I normally could do, with every new doctor that came along, I fell into a dark place. I mean, a really, really dark place. And I got upset with God. And if any of us ever sit here and say that you haven't been in a place where you've gotten upset with God because you didn't understand why he was taking you through or allowing you to go through what you're going through. Someone may be going through something right now. You're trying to figure out why me? The revelation of it came, why not you, Mixona? Our words, the power of life is in our tongue. And in order to get better, to be better, to feel better, and for God to advance me to the next level that he was taking me through, he had to take me lower in order for me to come higher. But I didn't understand it. We didn't understand it at the time that this was going on. And also with God, the revelation that God gave us was that in order also for him to take Warren higher in him, he had to decrease me. See, I was working in ministry. We both praise and worship team, serving God, marriage ministry leaders. But in most cases, I was the one carrying that load of preparing the messages, being in the forefront talking, accepting the engagements. And lots of times I would tell him, I feel like I'm dragging you along. He would go, but not I could tell. It was never obvious to others, but because we know each other, I know he was there because of me. And he will support anything that's going on in my life. Now, his relationship with God was stable. Awesome psalmist of God to serve him and as a minister through the singing and ministering to God's people. But God, like I kept telling Warren, had more in store for him. But I didn't realize, and what we don't realize when we become mates, when we become soulmates, that we're going to bear each other's burdens to when God wants to get our attention. God used me to get a closer relationship with Warren, to bring Warren higher, and to also now to bring others higher as I share how he brought me back when the doctor said, Mrs. James, you won't walk again. For a brief moment, I accepted that. And late one night, I gave up. I can't do this anymore. I used to sit and look at 45 bottles of medication and cry because I couldn't swallow another pill. But this man stayed in my ear. I got to a place where I wouldn't pick up my Bible and read my word. I got so upset with God, I wouldn't even pray. My husband stepped up to a whole nother level. He started anointing me every night. That was new. That was a new thing for us, and praying over me and claiming the victory and telling me you're not going to give up on God because God has not given up on you. He would make sure that he would read the word to me, even if I wouldn't pick up the word and put it in for myself, because I was so frustrated with not being able to use my hands, for not being able to get a word out, to lose that ability to sing, which was the joy of my heart. And now I can't even get a hello out. It tore me. Yes, when the grandchildren, the first grandchild was born, I couldn't even hold him. They stacked pillows up on me until they got about this high and would lay him on the pillows so that I could snuggle him and smell him, because I couldn't lift him up. Throughout the pregnancy, when the cancer came, the type of chemotherapy and radiation I had to go through with the radiation, my husband couldn't even be in the room with me for 7 days. No family members could come in the bedroom with me. I couldn't be around other family members. My clothing, the linen, everything I had to tie in bags And when he handled it, he would have to use gloves because you swallow this radiation tablet and it oozes out of your body to kill the residual tissue that's left behind after they did the thyroid cancer. And so to be in the house and your dog can't even come near you, God took me to a place of isolation so he could get me in his eyesight. I learned that I had a relationship with Jesus. We grow up a lot being taught Jesus, 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 but God wants us to have a relationship with him. And we can't get to him unless we go through Jesus. But if we stop at Jesus, we've lost the victory. We've missed the mark. And God showed me that. And one night about 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard a faint voice call my name. I thought it was Warren. I look over and he's asleep. I go back to sleep and I hear my name again. And I knew that it was God calling my name because God said to me, Mixona, I know that you hear me. I know that you love me and I love you. Don't give up. And he whispered to me, Job 4. Now, sometimes when I share this with people that have never experienced it or maybe don't believe, they struggle with it. And even when I woke up the next morning, what I thought was a dream, I found was for real, because when he spoke Job 4 to me, I still could not get up and down out of the bed. I couldn't even roll over. Whatever position I fell asleep in, if I woke up, I have to sit up and throw my body over to the other side in order to roll over. But I kept my Bible and my pens and stuff on the table next to me, which was in hand distance. I reached over and I grabbed a pen and I wrote Job 4 in my hand. But when I woke up, I thought I had dreamed this until I looked in my hand. And there was written Job 4. And God took me into that word. And that was the beginning of my spiritual healing. My spirit man had been sickened. And my external healing could not start until my internal healing started. So when God touched me that night and my spiritual healing started, it took me out of the pit and placed me into the recovery room, into that recovery process. And you know, if anyone's ever had surgery, they give you that anesthesia. You remember laying there and you're counting, and all of a sudden, you're gone. When you come around again, you hear someone calling your name. My sickness was like that. I went to sleep one night and I woke up with a whole different world, not being able to function. I fell asleep one way, I woke up a different way. But that night, I went to sleep one way and I woke up in the recovery room. And you know, when you're in the recovery room, you hear somebody calling your name and you're struggling, trying to wake up, and you hear them going, Lynette, Miss Brett, Stephen. He's calling. And it's like that with God. He was calling my name now in the recovery room. I was woozy from everything that I've been experiencing, but I started fighting my way back. I got back in my word. I started reading the Bible again from beginning to end, focusing in on Job 4, focusing in on what God is saying. There were still battles that I had to go through. And when you're in recovery process, whether you're recovering from a surgery, recovering from being an alcoholic, and you're going to your recovery meetings, you're recovering from a bad marriage, a bad relationship, whatever, you're not going to get out of it or through it without God. And there are going to be times when you're going to have setbacks. I still have moments. Every time just about that it's that time for me to get ready to go and have my infusion treatments, I want to kick rocks because I don't want to go and spend 8 hours with them pumping this medication in me that I know is going to make me feel bad for the next few days. But this man always reminds me to look at the fact that I'm still here. My doctors were baffled when I walked in their office because the last time they saw me, I was using the hover round, the walker, the cane. They told me it was going to get worse before it got better, and it did. But I could not see the better. But I thank God that he was working in Warren, helping me to see the better. So I say, when you're going through, just don't stay down there too long, because you know who the Father is and you know what he can do for you. And so when I get like that now, and I'm having a bad day, I'm having in a crisis, he'll tell me, this we started this years ago. He told me, I give you 3 days to wallow in your self-pity.
That's it.
But on the 3rd day, you
Yeah.
got to get up.
You gotta get up.
You got to get up.
We rose on the 3rd day.
So in your marriage, no matter what you're facing, face it together, talk to God about it together, and talk to God individually, because we're good at pointing a finger at the other person. But what Warren and I had to learn was we had to check our own selves versus trying to check me, trying to check him, or him trying to check me. Would show me, God, what I'm doing. Because sometimes we can be used by the enemy to upset our spouses, our significant others, our family members, because we know where to poke them.
You know what button to push. I'm just being real.
Mhm.
Know what button to push.
But somebody out of the two has to keep in tune with God, even when you're having a disagreement. Somebody's got to stay before the Lord and praying and listening and say, God said it's time for us to squash this. God said it's time for us to stop talking about this. But both parties have to be receptive to say, yeah, we're going to table this. And most of the time when you do that, especially if it's something petty, by the time you think you're going to go back to it, you can't even remember what you was even upset about in the first place. Marriage is a good thing. It was created by God as one of his greatest blessings that he could ever give us to enjoy. But we got to decide that we're going to find the joy, make the joy, and enjoy the joy of our marriage, our partner, our friend.
And I tell people, if you're not married, I'm gonna help you out right now. Don't settle for less. I'm tired. We tired every day. You get tired of anything you do. You can get tired from being tired. How about that? Do not settle for less. Don't settle for a warm body and a heartbeat. It's the worst case scenario. If you feel it ain't right, I call it the gut feeling. Everybody gets a gut feeling. Follow your gut. Yeah, girl, he right for you, or she right. Yeah, she right for you. Hey. Follow your gut. Because they ain't gonna be living in the house with you 24/7. You're gonna have to ride that ride. And that's one thing we had to start doing, getting people out of our house. This house used to be, the other house used to be packed. Every Sunday at the church, everybody came. Functions, they here. And I used to DJ, had a band. I'm popular. I ain't gonna lie. She was. She became popular with me. Right? I mean,
I was quiet and
she was.
reserved.
And I messed that all up, y'all. And I apologize every day for it.
I still don't let him take me places.
And it's to this day, it's things I mean, I'm like, no, she ain't gonna do that. No. I like snow, she don't. You know, I want to go ski. She likes to watch. I want to ski. See, I'm a skier. But
We can compromise. We can go and he can ski and I can sit in the lodge and look cute.
I took her to the mountains. Beautiful. Yes. We get out the vehicle now. Mind you, we're in the mountains. I understand that.
We were on the mountaintop. Yeah.
Okay, so we were on the mountaintop. Okay. I
The
think
clouds.
because the cloud passed us like this, not here. Here, it was below us. The cloud came below us. That means we're up there.
I won't really be on the mountain.
And I mentioned something about a cliff that she could see and next you know, I'm talking to myself. She's in a vehicle. And I'm talking to the realtor by myself. I understand, and I'm not emotional about that. I'm good with that. But I tell people every day, this is my baby. I will do anything for her in life. God must really love me because he gave her to me.
And that's a very good point to always remember in your relationship, whether it's, you know, a marriage or a relationship that you're in with your significant other, that it's okay to not always care for and like the same things. That it's good to cultivate your own interests and outside and apart from just the two of you, you know, not doing just what that one likes or just what the other one likes. So, you know, he likes the mountains. I'll sacrifice and go to the lower region of the mountains, but I'm not going to the mountains where the clouds will float by. But if he wants to ride up there, he can ride up there, and I'm gonna wait for him down at the bottom.
You know, I'm gonna tell you, remember,
You're up in Massanutten,
Yeah,
and you
it was
know
funny.
you high anyway, and then you want to go higher. Anytime a cloud go, and you in the cloud, no.
I'm used to clouds. I came by airplanes and parachutes, you know, I'm just passing another cloud. To me, it's another
I
cloud.
don't plan on being that close to the clouds unless I'm in an airplane or Jesus has called me home
But I was
and I'm up in the heavens with him.
just amazed at how fast I could turn around, look at the scenery, turn back around. Now, I'm not seeing her nowhere. She's in the vehicle, not walking to the vehicle. She's already in the vehicle. And I'm saying to myself, well, how does she do that so fast? It's not even about the cloud anymore, you know? But then I said, you know what, y'all, I know y'all listening to us. You're saying that's beautiful and fine. And I'm gonna prove to you. I'm gonna prove to you right now. I think they're ready. I'm gonna prove to you right now, opposites do attract. She's scared because she don't never know.
Never know what's gonna
She
come. I
never
got
know.
my finger like hovering right over the
She
mute
right on
button.
this mute button every time. With her hand. She's got a nervous condition on the other side of the screen. I'm gonna be honest with you, okay? And Ms. Britt, I warned you, I'm a Marine too, right? Right? Okay, but I'm gonna keep it clean, okay? All right, we all adults here. I'm gonna show you how much love, how strong love is. And I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Look at her.
She's a Washington football fan.
We getting a name this month, the month of February.
They're going on Craigslist and they're gonna get a name. That's what I said. Well, we are the opposite attraction of football teams, totally opposite. And we've been in the same, and nobody's died in here. This is a good thing. You understand what I'm saying?
It is.
This is serious. You talking about opposite football teams? And we even got a room upstairs we call the situation room. It's not a she shed, it's not a man cave. It's a situation.
It is. And it's half Redskins.
And it's half Cowboys.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
This is real. Yeah, yeah. You showed me. There's other couples out there like them because we found them, you know. We're red. We're red.
It is.
We went to, she flew me to Dallas. We went down together, you know, and it's my baby. I tell you, this is my best friend. Now we cut up, but
You know that's love now. Okay.
she walked into the stadium with her jersey on. I'm ready. Trust me, Marine One, ready to fight. I'm like, God, I'm gonna need a VA card. I'm gonna do something crazy in Dallas. I can see it. Somebody touch my baby. I'm going ballistic. And why do people treat her like royalty? She got free stuff.
Favor.
Wow.
Favor of God. I'm sitting here buying stuff. They wouldn't buy me nothing. And
Favor not free.
I'm the fan
You
in the
gotta,
building.
you gotta give it all over to God.
Man, I love this. Both of y'all here. Oh, we buying her this. Like I don't exist anymore. Thank God I'm not emotional. But I mean, but that's what I'm showing. That right there, you know, shows there's somebody out there. That's why I said, don't settle. I told my daughters this, God knows, I'm telling everybody, do not, my bonus daughters, they know the same thing. Do not settle. If you're single, it's nothing less. If you're divorced, you settle for nothing less. I don't care what your status is, do not settle for less.
Yeah.
Mm.
We're almost, we've been enjoying it, but actually it's time to,
Right.
it's time to wind down. But
Before we wind down, I just
Yeah.
want to share this one thing with all of you.
Mhm.
That I don't know how many of you are married. I don't know how long any of you may have been married. And I know y'all have heard a lot about the sickness and how we met and things like that. But I want you all to know that we have not made it 41 years, 42 years,
42 years.
42 years together,
Been married 37.
37 years married.
Yep.
Without a lot of hard work. The road has been rough. It has been rough. And I say this with truth. We have had issues of infidelity in our relationship. I don't want anybody to think
I told you it's real
that
over here.
we have
That's
not
right.
went through and dealt with that. And I'm here to tell you that if you want it bad enough, people often say, "I never can't change their spots." No,
Yes,
no,
again.
you can,
Yes, again.
but you got to want it. You got to trust God. Let God be the foundation of your marriage. Let God be the foundation of your relationships. But most of all, let God be the foundation of your life. And you won't make a wrong decision. And He will secure your marriage. And it'll be even stronger than it ever was before. And let nobody and nothing tear it apart. If your heart is in it, trust God, because God knows the heart. So thank you all for allowing us to just be with you this evening and share with you this evening. And we pray that our testimony, what we were able to share this evening, have blessed someone,
Yeah.
has given someone something to think about, has given someone some hope and some direction.
Ain't she pretty? I'm sorry, y'all. She was talking, I was
Yes.
just dead in her mouth. I'm sorry.
And that's what I was going to say. It is so, I thank y'all for being on, but I'm an observer. And the whole time she spoke, you were on her. I'm talking about like, wow, it was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Baby, y'all. I know I drive her crazy, but this my baby. I yell out of target, stranger danger, just to get her attention. You understand what I'm saying? I do crazy stuff. Yeah, I'm sensitive. Y'all just met me. Trust me.
Yeah.
You see us smile.
Well, we appreciate you all coming on.
Love y'all,
Thank
man.
you so much. You are more than welcome. We do this every week. And again, I tell people all the time, it is not about us. It is about helping other people.
Definitely.
So whenever you come on, you're always helping other people. So I thank you all for sharing your story. It's amazing. And it gives me not just hope, but I'm gonna tell you, when you were telling your story, especially about in sickness and in health, that's the deepest, I think, story I have ever heard as far as that's concerned in a marriage, and how you all kept pushing through and you never gave up on her, and you kept encouraging her. Let me tell you something. My hat, I mean, if I had a hat, it would come off, because I'm telling you, that was beautiful. It really was. And it's encouraging to others. And I want everybody to share this. Please do, because you have helped somebody in their marriage. When they hear this message, I promise you, and it's already a prayer going out, you will help many people to stay together. Because now when people get sick or when they just have an argument, they're ready to leave. You know, they don't want to stick around. But you're the perfect example of true love. That's how I can say, true love. So thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you. And like I told you that day we met, that wasn't coincident. That was meant
It
to happen.
wasn't. It wasn't. It really wasn't. So
Blessings
thank
to
you.
And
Yes.
everyone else, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Tony.
Thank you.
All right.
You all be
Y'all
blessed.
have a
Take
good
care.
one. Good
You
night
as
now.
well.
All right,
Take
Warren.
care. Bye-bye.